The Poway Unified Superintendent is out of a job after being accused of bullying and threatening students.
After meeting in a closed-door session, school board members for the Poway Unified School District have voted to unanimously terminate Superintendent Marianne Phelps. You can see her picture has already been taken off this wall.
The board has lost all confidence and trust in Dr. Phelps' ability to continue to serve as superintendent.
So this superintendent was fired from her job because she threatened to punish students because they didn't clap loud enough for her daughter. I am not making this up. This is Marianne Phelps. She's the superintendent for a school district in California. Now, because Marianne lives in a district, her daughter also goes to the local schools. Now, along with her education, her daughter is on the softball team. Now, at the end of the year, they have an award ceremony for the softball team. Now, the superintendent's daughter was honored at that event. Here is what happened.
This player was second in batting average.
This is video of the banquet provided to KPBS by the plaintiff's attorney. It shows the lead up to the Most Valuable Player Award for the Del Norte High School girls softball team being given to Superintendent Phelps' daughter, who we're not naming. The applause, or lack of it, is at the crux of the matter.
Now, as you see, everyone clapped, but Phelps was upset because she said the claps weren't loud enough.
Says the problem started later in the evening of the banquet. These are texts, Doe says, the superintendent sent her, asking to talk. There is another screenshot showing the two did talk for more than half an hour. Reedon says Phelps accused Doe and her friends on the softball team of not clapping loud enough when her daughter received the Most Valuable Player Award. Though Doe subsequently apologized, the lawsuit says Phelps ordered school personnel to investigate the incident as a case of bullying. The lawsuit says Doe and her family were told they needed to sign a statement acknowledging the attempt to bully Phelps' daughter. They didn't, and that's when they say the investigation began.
Now really think about what's going on here. It's not like they didn't clap. They clapped for her daughter. It's that the superintendent didn't believe they clapped loud enough. And because they didn't clap loud enough, she's investigating it as an instance of bullying.
After that, the lawsuit says Phelps intimidated Doe and other softball players. It says she retaliated by harassing and threatening Doe. It says Phelps' ultimate goal was to prevent Doe from competing against her daughter to be a pitcher on the team.
So the students stood up for themselves. They went to the next board meeting and told the board what the superintendent was doing and the way she was doing it. Here's what the students said.
She used her power and influence to bully our students and essentially break up our softball program at Del Norte. I think it's finally time we ask ourselves, who is the real bully in this situation?
I and 4 other coaches were at the softball banquet where this vendetta started. Were never contacted about the so-called incident. If I or any of my fellow coaches were to violate this code of conduct and ethics, we would have been dismissed immediately from our coaching position.
Now, the superintendent wasn't going to just take this sitting down. She got on camera and said she did absolutely nothing wrong and all this is just nonsense.
Can you say if you did or didn't reach out to students after midnight, around midnight, with claims of bullying?
I did not.
So, as you just heard, the superintendent denied reaching out to students late at night. Of course not, she didn't do that. But we have text messages from the superintendent to students that show the exact opposite.
The lawsuit includes screenshots of what appears to be Dr. Phelps texting a player near midnight after the banquet. Another screenshot of the plaintiff's call screen appears to show a 30-minute conversation between them that ended at midnight. It also includes other texts seemingly from Dr. Phelps accusing one student of lying, then telling her she'd follow up later from an administrative standpoint. The student was ultimately barred from all extracurricular activities for the 2023-2024 school year.
She made life hell for 10 seniors, threatening to bar them from their own graduation if they didn't admit that they did something they didn't do.
Earlier this year, one of the softball coaches said he was concerned about being fired.
The other coach that stood up for this, he has been fired. And so I'm in the same predicament. I think the same thing's going to happen.
The players and parents repeatedly brought their concerns to the Poway Unified School Board and made their voices heard at board meetings, but claimed for months Nothing was done.
So the superintendent went on the offensive and denied all these accusations and even had her daughter testify in front of the board to tell people what really happened.
I've never talked to any student about making threats about them not graduating. All of those accusations are completely false and fabricated.
Phelps's daughter Jessica fought back tears to defend her. She says the softball program is the issue.
This is about having to endure being bullied, being yelled at in front of my teammates, and being publicly humiliated and targeted for months leading up to and including the softball game.
So the school board hired someone to investigate all of these claims because people just wouldn't let it go. And after that investigation was completed, the board made a decision.
After meeting in a closed-door session, school board members for the Poway Unified School District have voted to unanimously terminate Superintendent Marianne Phelps. You can see her picture has already been taken off this wall.
The board has lost all confidence and trust in Dr. Phelps' ability to continue to serve as superintendent.
Phelps was initially placed on paid administrative leave in February, connected to the controversy students have nicknamed Clappergate. Last November, Superintendent Phelps was accused of bullying members of the Del Norte softball team. The team was investigated for bullying, but parents say Phelps was behind the investigation. They claim it came after Phelps felt her daughter didn't get enough applause at the team's softball banquet. One of the players filed a lawsuit against Phelps, also naming the district and other employees, claiming the investigation was biased and resulted in banning the player from playing her senior year.
The board said an investigation uncovered evidence that, quote, contradicted Dr. Phelps' statements to the district and public, findings that ultimately led to her firing nearly a year after the scandal erupted.
It should not take a year with the knowledge that they had. There was just so much evidence from the start to show that this person should not be in this position of power.
I hope that today's events empowers the students within the district and empowers their families to have the confidence to stand up for what's right.
A valuable lesson that parents and some educators say came at the expense of students.
Now really think about how crazy this story is. This woman was on such a major power trip that the amount of applause that her daughter was getting for being the most valuable player in softball wasn't enough. So she had to threaten students, call them at midnight, fire coaches. She literally suspended a student from playing in their senior year, all because they didn't clap loud enough. And then on top of it, this woman who has a PhD, who's a doctor, then lied publicly and to the board saying that it never happened, even though there were text messages and phone calls and everything that you could verify easily. Hell, she fired the softball coach. Now, just so you guys understand, the student is still suing the board and still suing this woman because I think rightfully so, she was wrong. Her opportunity to play softball in her senior year was taken away because this woman wanted her daughter to get more accolades, to be fawned over more. And the one thing that upsets me about these stories is that it's the taxpayers who are going to have to flip the bill for this. The person who should be paying that student for violating their rights is this woman. But unfortunately, that's not the way our system works. As always, tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section. Tell me if you feel sorry for this woman and her daughter. If you believe that they were railroaded. I think, unfortunately, this was a mini tyrant. And just like all mini tyrants, she gots to go. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all the great YouTube stuff. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'm going to see you next time. Peace.